Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Southman Auto Channel. That's our 2012 Chevrolet, of course. It's the Cruze. It's got the big 1.8. Money lights on, inspection's overdue, of course, so we gotta see what's going on with that. I think the customer said they were having some problems with the evap system. Don't know what they've done. Probably your regular stuff, purge, vent, and gas cap. Those are usually the three items they have installed prior to bringing it here. Sometimes fuel tank pressure sensor if somebody's feeling real froggy, and sometimes the canister. Depends on where you want to go. Maybe nothing. I don't, well, now that I look at it, I don't really see, looks dusty. So who knows? Let's grab the scan tool. I've got the key on. I put a battery maintainer on it so our battery doesn't go dead. Let's see what code's in it and see if we can figure out what's up. Poking apparatus. First thing first, we're going to jump in generic OBD2 because we never, and I mean never, get the full story from the customer. As we can see here already, it's not complete, so the full drive cycle is not finished. And we have one code, so let's just pop in here. Let's see what the code is. I imagine an evap code. Hopefully they give us that full story. Ooh, purge control circuit. Wow, we don't see that a whole lot. 443, pending, current, and permanent. And I'm going to assume that the readiness monitor that is not done is the evap. So let's have a little looky. Not ready, evap. Okay, so, oh, not so bad. Not so bad, my guy. Let's pop out of here. Whoa, dude. And then we're just gonna go right into the OEM data. So I need to make it a better habit. I say it's mostly my habit to go into generic data if it's our regular customer and we know what's up. But when we get these new ones sent here, this is always a thing to do. Like I say, we don't often get the full story if they've been doing the code clear business, and the main reason I do that is just for notes on our invoicing, just so I can state that the drive cycle wasn't finished and so on and so forth. So when it does inevitably come back with, you know, converter codes and everything else, we got CYA, I think they call it, cover your hiney. 443. Okay, let's go. Well, I tell you what, let's just go have a little gander under the hood, unenhanced, before we get stupid. Wow, would you look at that? That purge valve is old and dirty and dusty. It doesn't even have fingerprints on it, like anybody's even attempted to fix it. Did we really get a car here that hasn't been played with? That'd be a goddamn miracle. Let's go to activation test, and then we're going to go to evaporative systems. Let's just make sure we're working here. Turn that off so we can hear. I'm going to turn the vent valve, so this is in the back of the car. That we can hear, so we can hear the vent valve. Huzzah! So we know our tool's working. Let's go to the purge solenoid, which lives right here, which is what it's having a big issue with. I've got it at a 60% duty cycle, and I don't hear any clicking. Let's give it the old Fonzarelli. Hey! I don't hear it clicking still. So now that we've done everything that we can do, let's grab a test light and see if we have control. That's interesting. The screen keeps kind of coming and going here. Interesting. Huh. I have noticed some problems with the Harbor Freight T10, which I have brought to their attention. Kind of petty stuff, little minor things here and there. Ooh, look at that. We're not lighting up, old son. Let me get her up to 100%. We're at 100%. We got no light. I don't know why the data is coming and going here. Let's back out of here. Okay. That's interesting. But with that screen flicking like that, I don't know. If we're gonna do a couple things here, and then we're gonna maybe grab a different scan tool if we have to. We're gonna go into the enhanced evap data. We should be able to see the purge circuit, I believe. So I'm gonna go to customize list. We're gonna go to deselect all, and then I'm gonna go up here, and we just want to see anything related to the purge. All right, purge, hit OK. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. That's a good thing about GM, is we have our circuit tests. So we have evap emissions, purge solenoid valve control circuit open test malfunction. So typically what they'll do, we could have a blown fuse here. You know, let's say this is power side fed, so we have power going to it, you know, we'll say full time from a fuse. We don't know that for a fact yet, but usually that's how it works. Power going to it, it should go through the coils and then back out on the control wire and back over to the computer, and the computer should be able to sense, you know, battery voltage when the thing's turned off. You know, there's no current flow, just voltage in, voltage out, and then that's how it can typically tell open circuit. You know, because if it's a closed circuit, it's going to have 12 volts at the computer, and this is going to say, you know, no malfunction or okay. Let's see. And then we have a high side test and a low side test, but this is all we're worried about currently, right now. Okay, let's look here. We like to keep using the old Harbor Freight, because people ask me all the time, what scan tool should I buy? What scan tool should I buy? I don't know, none of them, because they all have problems. But the only way we can find out is if this one is any good is by using it. So that's what we're gonna do. We logged into the service data that comes with the T10 tool. What is it? TrueFix, I believe they call it. So it's motor service data. Not my favorite, I'll be honest with you. I've used all data. I've used Identifix and Motologic and ProDemand. Most of you know that we use ProDemand primarily here, and Identifix. Never liked motor service data, and I'll show you why. Because, you know, we need to find, you know, the purge valve. We want to find a wiring diagram for the purge valve. And, you know, here we put in year, make, model, VIN, and it brings up all 3,850 tops, or yeah, gosh, the whatchamacallits here, where we have our procedures, diagram, service bulletins, you know, all the different headings. There's 3,850 of them. So we could come up here and we could type in a keyword. We could keep it very simple and just type in purge. Okay, so then now we've narrowed it down to 16 different procedures, where we have like R&R of the purge valve. We have some service bulletins for a small leak, 442. So these are all things that deal with a purge, you know, service bulletins, DTCs, all the different DTCs that you can have for the purge valve, or something that has purge valve in its article. But when we go to diagrams, you'll notice we don't have a wiring diagram. That's because it's not listed. It does, you know, it's not listed there. It's going to be under like engine, you know, engine performance or engine wiring diagram. We have our component list, which is going to just have the purge valve in it, probably tell us where it's located. I'm not going to bore you with that. And then, you know, the connector end view. So I'll show you, you know, how to find it, which, like I say, this is, and a lot of times I think the motor service data is incomplete. So we were on all, which I don't know, perhaps you can call them and they can help you fumble your way through it. So we go to diagrams, we close that, and then we just go to wiring diagrams, and then we're going to search down through here. Okay, so it's going to be engine controls. We need to know if this is an LUW or an LUJ. I think it's a W. Let me look it up real quick though. This is a Lima uniform whiskey, LUW. And then what we want, let's go get our glasses. Nope, there we go. That one says, oh good, it's OEM diagram. So that's great. Let's see, enhance. purge valve, purge solenoid. F47 fuse, 10 amp, violet, dark blue, control wire, light green, dark blue. So violet, you're turning violet, Violet. Let's see. Light green, or no, what did we say? Violet, dark blue is supposed to be power. We're gonna very gingerly probe that. And then we'll very gingerly go find us a ground. We can't reach. We get on that brake line. We should be using a test light, but we're not. Let's go right for our fuse. Fuse F47, 10 amp, underhood fuse box. Now don't get me wrong, I'm kind of pissing and moaning about motor data. If you just bought this tool from Harbor Freight, you've got the free updates. You've got the motor service data that comes with it. I don't know for how many years, at least a year. And then you've got the battery tester, the endoscope. I mean, it comes for the price, it comes with a lot. I mean, I got no static with it. It's just, if I have a preference, I'm going to use something other than motor service data. If you've got nothing, that's 100 times better than having nothing, I'll tell you that. Number 47, lambda sensor. F47, that says lambda sensor, 10 amp. Perhaps it runs the lambda sensor too. I kind of doubt it. F47. Let's see, F4, what does that run? That runs the vent valve. Let's see what it's labeled here. See number 4, canister vent solenoid. So that one's correct. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. And then fuse number F9, that runs the injectors. Let's see what it says here. Number 9, fuel injector. Okay, so we have to assume fuse F47, even though here it says lambda sensor. It does have a junction on it. Perhaps it runs multiple units. Let's go grab a test light. I would think if that was the case and the fuse was blown, we'd have problems with our lambda sensor as well. The car is not going to run well without that. All right, we're going raw dog, no glasses. We're going to hold it way back. Fuse 47. Looking like this guy. Bingo bango. That one's good. Oh, it's even labeled 47 down there. Would you look at that? I am going to check a second source. This is OEM data. So this is right from General Motors. I can't imagine anything else is going to be any different. What I want to do, we can go back here. I don't know if they have power distribution under their diagrams. Let me see, Elemento. Looks like they are alphabetical order. Power distribution schematics. Whoa. F. So they have it broke down by fuse numbers, it looks like. We know that we have F47. So let me, F47UA. I just want to see what else that feeds. So fuse F47. Holy smokehouse, that feeds quite a bit. So this is what I wanted to make sure. Fuse F47, 10 amp, comes down here, violet with dark blue on the LUW, and that's where we are. And that feeds intake manifold tuning valve, purge valve, heated O2 sensor 2, heated O2 sensor 1, your electronic thermostat, bypass solenoid, and solenoid valve. But we don't have any of that. Ours is LUW only, so we have this one here for lambda sensor number 1, LUW intake tuning valve, purge valve, heated O2 number 2, LUW, LUW. So you can see all these marks on here. LUJ, LUW, those are the different RPO codes. Ours is a W. We don't have the turbo. So what's that tell us, folks? That tells us if our testing up here isn't bad. Let me move you. So fuse number 47 is legit. Too legit to quit. Let's make sure. Yes, sir. We got no nothing. We got no power here, but we got power over there. Let's see if we have control. We're going to switch our test light to battery power. Anything we touch that is a ground is going to light up our test light. So we're going to hold that on the control side. We're going to click the clicker here, go back to our diagnostics. We're going to go to active test, actuation test, evap systems, purge and seal. We don't want to do purge and seal, but we already clicked it, so it's too late. We're going to back out of there. We're going to go to purge solenoid. And then we wait. And then we increase, 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 increase. More increasing. And there we are. So we've got the flickering light. And when we look down, interesting. So every time the screen flickers here on the tool, it shuts it down. Interesting. So that's a glitch on the old T10. But we can see all of our circuit tests say okay. But when the tool glitches like that, it shuts off our solenoid, even though it shows it being commanded on still. Still shows it at 60% commanded on. So that, see, it's little tiny things like this I've been having some issues with. I can turn it back on and away we go. Here's one thing I will tell you though. When you call, you get a real live human being. They log into your tool, they take screenshots, they figure it out, and make a report, send it to launch. Like it seems legit. They are proactively, working and fixing any little bugs like this that show up. And I mean, I think it's impossible for any scan tool company to know every make and model, every function, every little thing to make it work perfectly. If you know a scan tool like that, let me know, I'll buy it. I've used a lot of aftermarket scan tools, and I've never seen one that is flawless. As a matter of fact, I've used a lot of OEM scan tools, and I've yet to see one that's flawless. Rule number one, never ever trust scan. Oh, there's your problem, lady, right there. So the connector is broke right at the connector. Huzzah. Okay. Well, doesn't matter. Our testing is still good and valid because we identified the problem, and now we just found the problem on accident. We identified it as having no power. Upon touching and wiggling, though, the connector has fallen apart, and now we should have power here. Oops, wrong side, dude. We're gonna go back to battery negative. I guess what I was getting at is no scan tool is perfect. You try to pick the one with the least amount of problems. I use this one today to do a PCM install on that 2010 Grand Caravan. Worked perfect. I used it the other day to program the PEM module on a Jeep Grand Cherokee that the Altel wouldn't do. Altel tried, kept failing. Grab that, plug it in, boom, put the skim number in it, and bingo, bango. Everything worked perfect. So here we are. So we have power here now. It just needs a purge valve connector. So super easy. That's it. What a dumb video. Yeah, this guy. Oh well, can't make this stuff up. Standard Motor Products. Not a sponsor. When OE fails, trust Standard. That's what it says. Here is the part number on this. Sierra 1024 connector. We would have went down to Wilbur Chipotle Bath, but I'm here solo mio today. It's Spanish for Mrs. O went home. We're right full swing peak of the rut, so she had to go home, she says. Yeah, you can't fool me, Mrs. O. Well, that is a big fat fail from Standard Motor Products, of course. Oh, never mind. It is a big fat win for Standard Motor Products, of course. It does plug in. Lots of extra wire. You got to give it a little extra push. Let's open up this harness. Let's not open up the harness, no sense in cutting the tape. We'll just peel it back here just a little bit to expose the inch or so. This wire gauge is significantly larger than the OEM. This is like probably 18 gauge, and this is looks like maybe 20 or so. Pull back the tape. There it is. Tessa tape. What size of our strippers are we using there? That is the 20 gauge size. We'll leave this. Whoa, we're all enhanced. We're going to cut that there. This is going to make the bonding a little different. Let's see. So I don't know if you guys can see it because I can't see what you can see, but you can tell that the wire gauge is significantly different. We will grab ourselves some heat shrink and some solder with an L for those of you across the pond. Apparently solder, S-O-D-D-E-R, means something entirely different, they tell me, than the solder. So that's why we say it like that. We're going to use our double-headed roach clip here, if you will. Slide them babies in, at least hold our wire. So oftentimes on our channel we like to use our standard crimp and seal connectors or open barrel connectors. But when we're hooking together wires that are two different gauges, we will often solder because it makes it easier. We're going to use our little gas iron here with some 60-40 rosin core. Get her tinned up here, get things heated up. If we can. Right next to that dang evap line here. See if we can get enough heat in it to do what we gotta do. Come on, baby. So make sure I'm getting that wire hot enough here. Make sure we're just not putting some superficial lead on the outside. There we go. There, we just saw it suck in there. I probably could use a thicker solder, huh? I just got a little chaotic here for a moment. See, that was soldered. We slid the heat shrink over it. We're gonna use our little heat shrinking gun here. I tried using this on our heat shrink butt connectors, and it doesn't seem to work that well. So I thought we'd try it here on some regular heat shrink. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't work. It is a 5 amp hour battery, almost fully charged. She's up 2 bars, 5 amp hour. It is on high, so I've got that question. A YouTube viewer sent this to me, which is great. We're just going to go back to the method we know works, which is the mini torch. There. Like I say, it may work if you sit there long enough and get it. I mean, I can't really get it much closer. But there. So that's all heated up. The goo's coming out. The little heat gun, it does work great for tire patches. So I'll go over there, stick it on by the tire machine. We'll use it over there. I'm going to let that cool, and then we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. And we'll be cool. I got to get my torch heating back up. It's always chaos when this is always gone. Chaos, I tell you. They're just about cooled down. Very gingerly front probe here with our 194 light bulb again. Leave that right there, and we should be intact now. There's 10%, and it should progressively get brighter as the duty cycle increases. Of course, we can only go until the data cuts out here. There's 80%, 90, and there's full 100. All right, huzzah. Oh my gosh, it's straight chaos. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. We should be able to hear that solenoid clicking now. Let's see, I think we left the key on. All right, hopefully you guys can hear it. It is clicking. We're gonna release control. And then here's the free tip Friday for you. I don't know at what point it does its circuit test on that, but I think we'll be okay. We're gonna exit back out of here. I'll show you a free tip for you. We're gonna go back into generic OBD2, and we're gonna do 3 ignition cycles, and it should reset the code without clearing the code. That way there, when they go get the sticker on it, they don't have to worry about driving it, if that makes sense to you. Because that type of circuit check, I think, is done immediately upon starting the car. The open circuit check anyways for the 443. So you can see here that we have, 7 monitors set and, 1 that is not. And then we obviously have the engine light on. The mill status, you can see there highlighted in pink, is on. Okay, we don't want to back out of there. We want to enter the system. But I backed out too far because I got click happy. So I'm going to hit enter. We're going to go to read trouble codes. And then, current, pending, permanent. I'm going to go ahead and shut the key off. The key is now off. Now, an ignition cycle doesn't really count until the ECM itself times out. So what you can do to see, can I still communicate with the ECM? That's going to tell you if the ECM has actually turned off. So the easiest way to do that is just try to read codes so we can still read codes. Or if you want, oops, I hit read codes again because I'm click happy. I was gonna go in the data stream. So we can see right now it's gonna have an issue. It's gonna say no communication, and that's gonna mean that our module has timed out. You can just believe me, it's gonna sit there spinning. Okay, there we go. Cannot communicate with the ECU. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and just start the car, let it run for just a few seconds, shut it back off. So we'll let it run for just a few seconds. We're gonna count that as number 1. We're gonna hit close. We're gonna go to read live data, and I'll just leave this up. Once the computer itself actually turns off, this screen's gonna go blank on us and, lost communication, whatever. Usually only takes a couple minutes to do so. And then we're gonna do that a total of 3 times, in which case it should run that circuit check 3 times, and it should turn its own engine light off because their inspection ran out last month. And all this is gonna do is make it so they don't have to run a drive cycle. So we got a communication error, so we're gonna take and turn the key back on and start it again. Shut the key back off. Hit close. Go back in the data stream. Like I said, I'm not looking at anything particular. I'm just checking to see when the computer itself shuts off. Only certain codes you can do this with. Circuit codes that run their test immediately, so to speak. Which, if this doesn't work after the 3rd time, then I assume it doesn't run that test immediately, but I believe in my heart that it does. Deep down inside, most circuit checks are done immediately. All right, so there's that. I'll go ahead and start it up again. And if all's right in the world, I think when we start it up next time, I believe the engine light will be out. I've been wrong before. In which case I'll have to edit all this crap out and it turns into a big deal. Which is not a big deal because then you just clear the codes and let the customer go drive it. All right, looks like we're in a no communication state again. Let's go ahead and start it. And here we are. Now I've got to delete all this crap because it didn't work. Awesome. We're gonna try it one more time. So here's the dealio with this one. So GM gives us our status over here. Passed and failed. This ignition cycle has passed. The last test, it also passed. Since it's cleared, it's passed and failed. It is a history code now, but the mill is requested. I'm gonna give you a little free tip here. In order for it to run the test, it has to run all three aspects, the high, the low, and the open circuit test. It can't run the high test until we turn it on. So what I did is I'm going to show you here. We're going to let this time out. Let me make sure I can or cannot talk to it here. Okay, so we're in a state of not being able to talk to it. So let me go ahead and start it up. Show you what I'm talking about here. All right, got it running. Okay. And then if we go into read trouble codes, it should say this ignition not run. So right here, this ignition cycle not running. So it hasn't fully run it, therefore it can't turn the light off. But that's simple because we can back out, go to actuation test, go to evap, go to purge valve. All we need to do is kick it on like 10%. So we kick it on, give it a couple clicks, it's on, it's clicking. We back out. Obviously it works. We go back into read codes and it should have ran all the tests now. And there we are, this ignition cycle passed. So now if we shut the key off, give it a few minutes, let it time out. I'll do that again. Theoretically, it should turn the engine light off. Third time we're running. Actuation, evap, purge. Turn it on, back it out. Back it out, go to read codes. Pass. Mill status still says requested. Let me go ahead and shut the key off. And I'll see if after this third time if it turns off. If not, well, no harm, no foul. Most codes are, if they're a 2-trip code, they have to fail 2 times consecutively to turn the light on, and then they have to pass 3 times consecutively to turn the light off. So some of you have driven cars where your light's on and then it's off and it's on, it's off. That's what's happening there. That's a sometimes but not always situation. Let's see, we're gonna fire it up for the 3rd time. Oh, bingo, money light's out. All right, yeehaw, he says. Now, we'll exit out of here. Easy. We'll go to history. We'll go to, it doesn't say the OBD2 history must be. Let's go to generic, and we should see our drive cycle is going to be done. It'll be good enough to satisfy the People's Republic of New York. And we can have all but one monitor. still pass. All right, so there we are. Monitor's not complete 1, monitor's completed 7, engine light is off, and it has 1 code stored in it, which should just be our permanent code. And that's it. So it still shows it has a current code. However, no engine light is on. As you can see, just tire pressure light. So that will pass in the PRNY. Their rules, not mine. So that's a free tip for you. It's something you can do for your customer if you want to avoid running a drive cycle and you fixed something as simple as a purge valve, some sort of circuit code. That's the quick and dirty how to do that. And that's it, folks. We'll leave it at that. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you learned, that little trick about running your drive cycle or running that particular test 3 times to get the light to turn off. Sometimes when I have some General Motors comes in with catalyst efficiency codes, for example, I'll just go out and run the catalyst portion of the drive cycle. And there's a little free tip. If I ever get one of those in, I'll show you how to do them right in your bay on a General Motors. They don't publish this information. They used to, but you can run most catalyst tests just sitting outside your bay, warm the engine up for 10 minutes. There's a little bit of a process, but it does the force enrichment and then force lean and checks oxygen storage capacity of the converter without even driving the car. And I'll run that test, just do it 3 times right in a row, because you can do it every 1 minute, and then the light will go out, slap a sticker on that baby, send it down the road, or at least send it down the road to the shop that'll slap the sticker on it. If that makes sense. If you know, you know. We're straight shooters here. We don't do shitty inspections, so if your car won't pass, it won't pass. That's just all there is to it. Don't you pass on making a comment, though, in that comment section down there. Questions, comments, Insty, the Facebook. You know where we're at this point, folks. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.